Yeah, hi everyone. So in this today's session, we are going to see managing infrastructure and configurations using Azure tool. So earlier, right? So,
Salon,
yeah.
Are you sharing the screen? Because I don't see anything
Oh,
on the train.
yeah. I forgot to share. Yeah. So you are able to see, right?
Yeah, now I can see it. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so in this today's session, right, we are going to see managing infrastructure and configurations using Azure tools. Okay, so in the earlier sessions and all, right, we just created the resources through Azure portal only. So for those and all, it's maybe useful when we are doing in the learning stage. Okay, but when we are doing some more kind of automation and enterprise level project, right, so at the time we need to use some kind of script to provisioning the infrastructure and configuration. So for that, maybe the Azure DevOps, we can integrate the scripts with the Azure pipelines and then we can automate it. So that is the thing we are going to see. Maybe what are all the automations in the from the Azure DevOps tool they are providing, and then from that Azure also providing. So there are some Azure automation account. So maybe how we can leverage that one. So that one we are going to see. So let's see the agenda for,
Actually, yesterday
yeah.
we didn't finish the entire session, right?
Yeah. So
we left it like middle of the blue-green deployment, and
yeah,
after
yeah,
that you said like,
yeah. So that is for the ARM templates and blue green deployment, right?
mhm.
So that maybe the last time, right? So we want to, so we have covered the concept part. So we didn't see the overview of the launch darkly and then the blue green deployment. So that was the pending one. Okay, maybe after
Okay,
this one, so we will see that in the demo session, like launch darkly and then blue green deployment, and along with that, right, because in the same template project we have the ARM templates also. Okay, so
okay,
otherwise itself, right? So this itself it will take maybe the full maybe day, so that we cannot cover it. Yeah, that is fine. Maybe at the end of the session, right, we can see the blue green deployment and then the launch darkly tool overview and all. Okay,
okay.
yeah. So the agenda is like so what are the tools we are going to use for interaction with Azure. So the most of the tools like the PowerShell module and Azure CLI and ARM templates and then the portal also. Okay, so maybe how we can install in our local, and how we can log in. So those things, and then the authentication also, because when you are using in maybe the portal, you will be using your maybe the AD account, that email, so username and password, so with that you will be able to sign in. But when you're doing from the command prompt, right, so what are all the options they are providing, so that one we are going to see. And then the ARM templates, like maybe how we can automate the resources, like maybe, so this is the JSON template, right? Maybe how to maybe structure our decide state in the JSON file. Maybe what are all the format we have to follow. So that one, and maybe when we are executing the ARM templates, so there are three modes of executions. So they are providing, and what is the maybe the difference between the each mode. So that one we are going to see, and then one of the services like Azure Automation, like maybe for automating the run book or the script, right? So from the Azure itself they are providing some feature. So that is the one of the service like Azure Automation. So that one also we are just going to see maybe how we can create the account, maybe the PowerShell, how we can add put our PowerShell script, and how we can maybe run this script based on the schedule or demand. So those things we are going to see. And apart from that, the last one, right, the demo, like the last yesterday, the launch darkly, the tool overview, and the blue green deployment, ARM templates. So those demo we are going to see. Okay, so the first one, the tools to interact with Azure. So you are already comfortable with using Azure portal, because you are already using it, right? So from the GUI, you will be logging with your maybe Microsoft account. So when you have when your Microsoft account having the corresponding subscription access, then you will be able to create all the you will be able to create all the resources under the subscription. Okay, so here the hierarchy, like so first active directory tenant, and under the tenant you will be having the subscription. Under the subscription you will be having many resource group, and under the resource group you will be having the resources, everything, but the concepts everything will be the same for all the way, right? Azure CLI, PowerShell, Core, Cloud Shell, everything, the concept and the hierarchy everything will be same, but only how we are creating or how we are integrating with the resources only it will be differ. Okay, so and then the Azure CLI, so this is the command line interface, and then this is the cross platform tool also, you can be installed in Windows, Mac, and maybe the Linux also. So from that command line, you can log into the your subscription, and by just executing some scripts, you can create the resource group and web app or SQL or any kind of maybe the services, right? Whatever it is available in the portal, the same thing you will be able to achieve in your command line interface also. Okay, and then so mostly, right, the CLI is mostly, so it will be very much comfortable for the the Linux, the bash experienced, right? So for example, mostly there are two kind of maybe administrator, like Unix admin and then Windows admin. So Windows means, so they will be more familiar with the PowerShell based scripting, and maybe the Linux means they will be familiar with bash scripting. Okay, so in this scenario the CLI is it looks like a bash scripting based one. So in that one, so based on that only they have evolved, so that so it will be look similar like bash scripting. And then the PowerShell we already know, so this is the maybe Microsoft one, right? So this is the PowerShell is just for the Windows platform only, so we cannot install in any maybe the other Windows platform. But for that reason they have created one more packages also called PowerShell core module. Okay, so the PowerShell core module, so from this here it will support in all the platform, like Windows and Linux and Mac, right? So in all the platform the PowerShell core module it will support. Okay, and apart from that the Cloud Shell, so from that Azure portal itself, right? When you are maybe connecting in the when you are log into the Azure portal, right? So there itself you will be having one Cloud Shell, that command line environment, so there you can run the command everything. So for example, the CLI and all CLI, PowerShell and all we will be see in the next slide, but Cloud Shell I will give a one overview on here. So for example, I'm logging I'm logging into Azure portal.
So every individual thing we are going to have some like a kind of a demo or example or anything.
Yeah,
How to
maybe.
use the tool.
Yeah, for example, right, in your real time scenario, you will be using any one of the tools only. You are not going to use all the tools. Okay, but I will just to
Okay.
show how you can configure in your local environment. Maybe I can just run small simple commands, but from there, right, you can get started. Okay.
Okay.
So for example, right, otherwise if I'm not saying, maybe you are not maybe aware of the Cloud Shell, but this is the one popular one. So many of the developers they will be using it. Okay, so just I am just giving the overall idea. So from that, so based on your maybe the team project and all, right, so you can use that. But mostly, right, maybe we have to use the our maybe the either so most of them, right, so they will go with Azure CLI or the Azure PowerShell core module. So they won't be going with the Azure PowerShell module. So that is only to the so Windows platform only. Okay. So if you are deciding anything, either you can decide a PowerShell core or Azure CLI. Okay, and then the Cloud Shell also they are providing option, but most of them I'm not sure, so they will be using it or not. But mostly, right, we will be doing developing the scripts everything in our local environment only. So if you are doing everything in the cloud maybe web based one, we can go with that. But So most of the things, right, you will be doing development in the local, so you can go with Azure CLI and PowerShell, but you can just have an idea on what is the cloud shell. So in the portal itself,
Mhm.
it is the integrated one. For example, here it will ask you, so which one you have to go. So for example, what it will be happening is like, so when we are choosing bash or PowerShell, based on that it will create a one container, and then the script file and all will be stored in the storage. Okay, so when I'm choosing the bash one, so it will spin up the one Linux container, and so it will be having all the capabilities to run the Linux scripts, right? And along with that they will be installing all the major utilities like Azure CLI, and then the kubectl. I think mostly the git also will be there. So whatever the popular maybe utilities, right, so it will be installed inside the container. So from the cloud interface itself you can run all those commands, like maybe the resource deployment, everything you can run. So for example, right, currently I'm choosing the bash one. Okay, and then so for example this is the cloud one, right? So for example, anyway you are going to run the script everything, but anyway, right, so when you are creating any kind of the script, it has to store somewhere, right? So for that reason we have to create the storage account first, and inside the storage account only all of your file, everything will be saved. Okay, maybe your script files I'm talking. Okay, so for example I'm clicking on create storage. So if you have any existing storage, you can choose the existing one. So if it is not there, then maybe we can create a new one. So I think this is taking some time.
So this will create like a within a one resource group, or is it going to be like
Yeah, but anyway, right?
separate?
Yeah, yeah. So it will create under the resource group only. It will create under, because anyway, right? Whatever the resource we are creating in Azure, it has to come under any one of the resource group.
Yeah, but it did ask for the resource group, so that's what I was asking.
No, so for example, right? Maybe
It was
there
asking.
is yeah, there is some advanced settings, right? But I didn't check that one. So if there is a, maybe if I'm checking this option, it will ask you the some kind of details and all. 1 minute.
Because it asks only for the subscription, right?
No, and also in the side, right, the next to subscription, you will be seeing the advanced settings also. So that one. So for example.
So now when it said like it created, right? Like where did it get created?
So for example, currently it is
Oh,
created here. Okay. So for example, I will delete this resource group. So under this resource group, right? So this is the storage account. It gets created. Okay.
so that itself like a new resource group that is not
Yeah, yeah.
creating under a resource group.
Yeah. So because, right, I am not providing any of the resource group name there. So that's why it is by
That
default it is creating the resource group under name. But still, right, we
right.
can provide the name also. For example, in when I'm clicking on advanced settings, right, we will be having the option to create our own resource group, something, I guess.
So maybe it will give you an option to
Yeah,
select the ASP.NET resource group.
yeah, maybe it will provide. Yeah, 1 minute. Yeah, so here advanced settings, right? Yeah, so here it will be asking you the resource group, so whether you can choose the existing resource group, or even you
Mhm.
can create your own storage account, and then the file share, everything you can provide. But since maybe I'm not providing anything, right, so that's why it is created the default one.
So how did you come to that screen?
Yeah, because
Because
there
I
is some
missed it.
advanced settings, right? Yeah, so here, right, subscription I am
Oh, show
choosing it here,
advanced.
and then show
Okay.
advanced settings, and under that resource group, storage account, file share, and all.
Okay.
Okay,
So if
so
you don't use this one, then by default it creates like a new resource group.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I think once that is created, right, which means like in the back end, maybe we don't know like what is the container it is running. because right, whenever we are running some commands we need computing power and as well as the storage also. Okay, but the storage we have seen like so we are creating some storage account, and then inside the storage account maybe our whatever the script files and some default files and all will be there. But the command here these things and all coming, right? So which means like in the backend it will be running some Linux container, and then in that container they will be mapping the storage account. So then because of that only we are able to see the uh, maybe the files and all within this console. Okay, so for example I am running is a version. Okay, so I think here, right, so Azure CLI, and then SSH is already installed and Python is already installed. And yeah, so mostly, right, most of the maybe the popular things it will install, but maybe I will check Git also. Yeah, Git also it gets installed here. Yeah, Git also installed, right? So I think mostly the popular command line, the tools it will be installed here. But if you don't find any, yeah, maybe we can install something manually also. I think, for example, this is the bash one, right? So maybe we can provide something like yum install. So any kind of maybe nginx. I think yum command is not there. Apt. Yeah, I think so. Mostly, I think we won't be installing anything, but just I'm trying. For example, this is the Linux container, right? So maybe if you want something, yeah, you can try it. And also, right, so here you will be having the option to select which mode you want, like Bash or PowerShell. So, for example, this is the maybe this PowerShell means PowerShell core module. So the PowerShell core module it will support. The Linux environment also, right? So that you can choose maybe yeah, you can switch to PowerShell also in the Cloud Shell. Okay, so that maybe you can see in our Windows, however we can see, right? So similar kind of terminal you will be seeing here. I think Cloud Shell timed out. But I don't know, there is some problem here. Okay, yeah, maybe I think there is some problem with their end, I guess. I think whenever we are trying something, it is saying like Cloud Shell has been idle for 20 minutes or you have manually exited. Would you like to reconnect? Okay, I think we cannot do anything for. I think there is some problem with this when we are running some command, right? So maybe we can stop it there. Maybe do you maybe you can just try it. So for example, there also like you can create the file, upload the file. So all the things you can do, and so those things and all will be added in the storage account.
Maybe this resource group you deleted, right? Like, so do you need to go to the home?
So this one you are saying?
Yeah, we deleted this resource group, right?
No, no, no. This is just UI only, right? If I'm just refreshing it, it will be changed. So for example, if I'm
Mm.
refreshing, right, so the new resource group it will be coming here. But again I have used the same thing, right? I think maybe some the random the bits, right? So it will be changed. So
Mm.
that is this is for maybe the UI only. Maybe if I'm deleting something and if it is not maybe refreshing, means like we have to refresh the page. But maybe from the command line that's not the case, right? So from the command line, so I have
Mm.
created the storage account, and after that only I am getting entered into the PowerShell. Because I think this is trying to initialize something, but when we are running this command it is getting some error. So that is why we are getting this error. Maybe otherwise, right, maybe we can delete this one, and after that we can create a new one. Okay, currently it is being deleted, right? So I think after that only
Okay.
we will be able to, yeah,
Okay.
add.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah, so this is the one way almost okay. So similar,
Mm.
right, maybe you can create some commands like az group create, so which will create the resource group. So you have to pass some kind of parameters to that, like when you're doing a resource group, right? So what are all the parameters you are giving in your web, maybe the console. So you are creating in the Azure portal, right? So what are all the parameters you are providing when you are creating resource group?
Okay.
So for example, right, the we will be providing the resource group name and then the location where the resource groups to be created. Okay. So the similar way you will be, you have to create the maybe the AZ group also there. So for example, maybe I will show only one example, like creating the resource group name. I think even if I'm
Do you need to run that one from the home?
uh, maybe you are
Also,
like, I think this is when we are maybe initializing the page itself we are getting error, right? Maybe we are not doing anything, maybe the container is in starting mode or something. Maybe what you're saying like from home
yeah,
you are
from
saying.
here. Yeah.
No, no, I think there is no relation between the pages and then command line, right? Maybe you can open in a new tab also, maybe in the new window also, that's not a problem.
Oh, okay.
Mm. Okay, yeah, maybe you can just try by yourself, and then right, you can just provide a maybe running the command like az group create and then hyphen location. Okay, maybe you can provide the short form like hyphen l, and then you can provide the location name, and then hyphen n just for the resource group name. So when you're running this one, right, so it will create the resource group in the Azure automatically. Okay,
So
so
it's
this.
all on the same command, same command prompt only, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. The same command prompt only, because the AZ, the only the requirement, right? We need to have the AZ, the utility Azure CLI needs to be installed. Okay. So from the our Cloud Shell, it is already installed, right? So that we don't need to worry, so that we can run the AZ command. And also, right, maybe we need to authenticate also, but since you are already authenticated with the Azure portal, you don't need to authenticate again, because it will take the token from the Azure portal itself. So you don't need to log in like Azure CLI or Azure AZ login and all. Okay, this is the one way. Okay,
Mm.
and then the next one is like we can install the um, Okay, maybe similar like you can install the CLI command in your local also, and after that also you can run. So for example, I have already installed. Okay, so this one is the Azure CLI is already installed, right? Maybe, so for example, in the portal, if you are maybe running through Cloud Shell because you are already authenticated, that scenario is different. But here, right, I'm not authenticated. I have installed Azure CLI, but I'm not authenticated, right? So in this scenario, I have to run AZ login command. Okay, so when I'm running this one, so I think we can, it will automatically open the browser. Okay, I think for example the browser it will open by default. If it is not open, so we have to provide use device code option. So I think let's wait for 5 seconds. I think it will open. Mm, so I think this is taking some time. So otherwise I will just terminate this one. So I will provide this option AZ login. Yeah, I think here it is opened, right? But
Yeah.
okay, so we don't maybe you can just know. So this is the one way, and another one way is like we can use the device code option. So it will provide the device code, so we have to provide the code there so that it will automatically signed in here. Okay, so for example, right, if I am using the use device code option, so here it is providing some device login, right? uh, so
So
I'm
how
just
long it takes, to create this resource group? Still spinning, from my end.
so from the command line
And
prompt you are saying, my bro.
yeah, yeah,
So it will just create a 5 seconds only. It won't take much time. This is the resource group alone, right? So it won't take a much time. For example, right? Maybe yeah. So after running this command, I will show you. Okay. So for
yeah. I mean,
example,
it's just spinning and it shows creating
yeah,
maybe like 10 minutes. Mm.
yeah. So for example, right? So here I'm open this URL and copied the code also. So here
Mhm.
I'm just providing the code actually. So here I need to log into yeah, Microsoft account, and here it is saying like are you trying to sign into Microsoft Azure CLI? I'm just providing yes. Okay, so here, right, so here it will be automatically logged in now. Yeah, so here it is logged in, right? So for example, currently I'm logged in with the Azure CLI. You can see these are all the two subscription with associated with my user. Okay, so one is the free trial that is already disabled, and this is the active subscription I'm having. Okay, so for example, you can run some kind of command also, Azure account list. So it will display list of subscription, maybe list of active subscription in my account. Okay, and also you can so currently, right, so as you said, I'm going to create this resource group. Okay, so I'm going to run this command. So it will create the my resource with the resource group with name like my resource group, and in the location like West US. Okay, so I'm going to portal just for verification. Yeah, so here it is created, right? The resource group is created with name like my resource group, and then the location is West US. Yeah, so here you can see, right, Mebrod, and
Yes, Selma.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and the
It
same.
just, from my end, it's just spinning, shows creating.
Okay.
Maybe some network issues.
Oh, so you're also trying?
Yeah, I'm also trying.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So the
Mm.
similar way, right? So you can create the any kind of Azure resource like application insight, SQL service server, and app server, Kubernetes server, right? So everything you can create with this command line. So there will be, you can just do some Google search, and we just need to provide some kind of maybe parameters alone. Okay. And then one easy way, right? So for example, if you're just running AZ command, it will show what are all the sub commands and comments are there. Okay, so for example, when I'm running AZ, so it will list the what are all the available commands, so with this AZ command line. Okay, like maybe the group is one of the command, right? And similar like VM, virtual network, and web app. So there are many things will be there. Okay, so for example, these are all the possible commands. And for example, if you want to explore only maybe the account, right? So if you want to know what are all the maybe the commands or the maybe options associated with the account, so what you have to do is like you have to run az account and hyphen h. So it will provide what are all the options available in the uh, yeah, AZ account. Okay, so for example, manage group, and then it will provide clear all subscription from CLI's local cache, and then like show get the details of your subscription, and get a list of subscription for the logged in account. By default, only the enabled subscription from the current cloud is shown. So it means like only the active one. So I'm also having the two subscription, right? One is the active one, and another one is the disabled one, so it won't show the disabled one. Okay, so for example, like AZ account list, so it will list the active subscription. Okay, so this is how we will be working with Azure CLI, and the same like, right, the PowerShell. Okay, so for PowerShell also we have to install module called install module AZ, and it will install all the module, and after that we can run the same command here also. I think here, yeah, this is PowerShell core module. So in a PowerShell, I think we need to run this command. So instead of AZ login, when we are connecting from the PowerShell module, right, we have to run this command. So connect AZ account. Okay, but other, so most of the functionalities, right, like maybe creating the resource group, deleting it, and then the parameters we are going to pass it. So all those things and all, it will be common. So maybe you can try, maybe, right, I think whatever you are comfortable, like if you're comfortable with maybe PowerShell, you can go ahead with that. Or otherwise, if you're comfortable with maybe Azure CLI and with the Bash experience, then you can go with the Azure CLI. Okay. So here, right, here it is saying like, do you want to run software from trusted publisher? Run once, run always. Okay, so I am saying like run always, because the first time I have installed, right? So this is saying like this is from the untrusted publisher. So can I run it or not? So something like it is asking. So I'm just saying like always run something. Okay, so here, right, when I'm running the connect AZ account, so here it is, here itself it is opening the web page kind of thing. So I have to log in here. So because I'm already logged in, right? So that it won't ask any kind of password and all. So it's already logged in. So yeah, so here it is logged in, like account is tamilselvan.sellapan@gmail.com, and subscription is Azure Pass, and tenant ID is this one, and the environment is this one. Okay, but here the command something would be something different, like maybe there we have used AZ account list something, right? But here the command would be something different. Okay, yeah, maybe if you want to create any VM and all from that, right? So you can just Google it for the PowerShell based commands and you will be able to create this one. Okay, so now you understood, right? Like maybe the Cloud Shell and maybe the PowerShell, and then the maybe the command line also through AZ CLI, Azure CLI. So almost,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
okay, my brother. Yeah. So and then
Yeah, good.
yeah, and then the one more thing is like ARM templates. So here, right, we will be directly providing the commands and then we will be executing. And then, right, so for example, we can script it also. Maybe we can create the script, and with that also we can be run as like other bash script and then PowerShell script. And then the another one is like ARM templates. The ARM is for Azure Resource Manager. So for example, all the resource creation, right, at the resource group level, like maybe in the resource group, right, you will be creating maybe you will be creating one resource group for one environment. Okay, so in this environment you will be having like maybe one database, one app server, and one key vault. So all those things, right, all those structure you will be creating in the template, that is JSON file. And so that will be so that will be executed either using the Azure CLI or PowerShell. So the same thing it will be created in the maybe the Azure cloud also. So that also one way. So for example, the ARM template is the example one for the infrastructure as code approach. So you may be hearing about the term like infrastructure as code. Like so most of the cloud, right, they will be supporting it. So whatever the infrastructure it is there, we have to script it, and whenever we want the particular infrastructure, we can, by just running the script, we can spin up the environment. And if you don't want, we can just delete this in a second. Okay, so for the infrastructure as code, right, there are many tools available in the market, like for example, right, maybe from the public cloud perspective, you know, like Azure and AWS and GCP, the popular one. And the same thing, right, so from that Azure perspective, they are providing the ARM templates for the infrastructure as control, so infrastructure as code approach. Okay, and then the one tool for AWS, right, that is the cloud formation. Okay, so for example, the ARM you can only use it for the Azure alone, and then the cloud formation you can only use against the AWS alone. Okay, but maybe there are some other open source tool also, so that is called Terraform. Maybe we will be seeing in the next session. And so that tool, right, you can be used for the both the environments, like maybe even the GCP, for all the public cloud, right. So you can script the environment using Terraform, and that one you can execute yeah, maybe they will be supporting AWS, Azure and GCP, all the cloud environment. But the ARM templates, that is just for the Azure alone, and then the cloud formation, that is for the AWS alone. So you got it, right? Maybe in the ARM templates, yeah, we will be seeing in the detail in the next slides and all.
Okay.
Okay.
So
So where
ARM
this will
template.
be,
Yeah.
Okay, sorry.
go ahead, my friend.
So ARM template, it's not native, or is it third party tool that incorporates
Yeah, yeah,
inside
yeah.
Azure?
Yeah. So that is the native tool for the Azure one.
Oh,
Okay.
it's
So
native.
yeah, so we can use it only in the Azure environment only. So maybe it
Mhm.
won't be supported for the AWS and GCP and all. Okay.
Mhm.
So similar, like AWS also having their native tool for their cloud platform, that is the cloud formation. Okay, with the cloud formation tool you can script the AWS environment, and then you can maybe create the resources using by just running the command. Okay, but some other open source tool like the Terraform is the one of the popular tool in infrastructure as code approach. So that tool that tool is open sourced one, so you can use it in Azure and then AWS. Okay, so when you are maybe scripting your infrastructure, right, either you can go with Azure, maybe ARM templates, or the Terraform. You will be having the two option. So mostly, right, so the companies will be going with Terraform only, because when the so many of the companies, right, so they are going with multi-cloud approach. So like they will be using the resources from the Azure, AWS, and GCP. So they will be touching upon in the all the cloud, right. So in those scenario, they are going with the Terraform. But some of the organizations, right, they will be having all the resources only in the Azure only. So at the time, they may be going with the ARM templates. Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So the next one, yeah, we have seen, right, like how we can installation of the tools and how we can log into that one. And so in the Cloud Shell, right, so most of the tools will be already installed. Maybe if you want to install any custom tools, maybe yeah, we have to see that one, but I didn't try that one. Like if you want to install any, I think the Nginx server and all whatever I tried, right, that is not at all meaningless also, because that is the command line tool only, but I'm trying to install a web server. Okay, that is not the good. So if you want to install any kind of maybe for the certificate creation, you are installing OpenSSH or some kind of tool, yeah, that is valid. And even the putty also you can install it to just connect a Linux machine from your console. So that is valid. So those things and all you can try, but the Nginx, maybe that is not the valid one. So that we have tried the last time, right? So that's not the valid one. And then the device login means they will provide. So there are some modes, right? For example, the device login means they will be providing the device login URL, and there we have to paste the token, and after that, yeah, we have to log in with a Azure account. So it will be automatically signed in the command line. And from the device login, right, once you successfully logged in, it won't be so it will be there active for the 90 days. So till the 90 days it won't be ask you for the password or anything. Okay. And the next one is the service principle. So for example, we already seen like maybe the when we are doing any user login, right, at the time you will be using your own maybe Azure credentials like username, the mail ID, email, and password. Okay, but the when you are doing system to system maybe connection, at the time we will be using the service principle. Okay. And maybe the service principle, right, we will be using like the client ID, secret ID. So those kind of things we will be using. And another one, so even the service principle, right, the secret ID we need to store somewhere very securely. Okay, so that is our responsibility. So we have to store somewhere securely. But if you don't want to secure anything, so the advanced one approach is like managed identity. We already seen, right. For example, so we have the two resources like Azure Key Vault and Azure App Services. Okay, so for example, you can go to Azure Key Vault and then you can directly assign the maybe the read access to Azure App Service, the particular web app. Okay, so whenever the call is coming from the web app to the Key Vault, so there is maybe even we don't need any credentials and all, so it will be automatically authenticated. So in between the managed identity feature provided by the Microsoft, right, so they will be managing some internal Active Directory and password management and the key verification, everything. But those things are all abstracted. So from our case, so from our side, so we don't need to manage any kind of maybe the username and password to authenticate the key vault from the Azure App Services. Even the others also, right, they can't be even we also can't do anything. Like we can't log into that key vault unless if you have any role assigned to us. Okay. So Amos and Mebrod, so if you have any queries, can let me know.
No, good year.
Yeah. Okay, Amos. So the next one is like the ARM templates. So as we just already discussed, so this is the infrastructure as code. So for that approach, we can accomplish by using maybe Azure Resource Manager, and there are other options also like the Terraform also they will be supporting. And here, right, we will be using the JSON to document the desired state, like how you want to maybe the resources to be created, and what are all the things you can externally parameterize. So everything we can accomplish using the JSON. So for example, right, when you are creating the resource group in the portal, so what are all the things needed is like you just need the resource group name, and then the from where in which location you are going to create it. Okay, so those maybe the details, right, we will be mentioning in the JSON structure, whatever maybe the Azure maybe the ARM template is providing. Okay, so in that we will be providing, and then when we are executing it, right, so as like in the as like in the maybe what we have scripted in the JSON file, the exactly similar setup will be created in the Azure environment. Okay, and maybe when for example you have how many times you are creating it, maybe you are executing it, so you will be getting the same results only in the Azure portal. And also like maybe it won't be like if you are just updating the number of instance, or you are changing the tire or something, so it will be automatically updated the particular resource, tire, everything. Okay, and then here there are three things actually, the important elements here, like the templates. So inside the templates, right, you will be mentioning the variables, and then the resources. The resources means, right, so for example so let's take an like maybe the virtual machine. Okay, so you are going to create a infrastructure, the virtual machine in a Azure cloud environment. So in this scenario, what are all the resources needs to be created? Okay, so the maybe the main element is virtual machine, but to create the VM in Azure environment, there are many things, many Azure resources also to be created. So for example maybe the VM need like the OS disk and the data disk, right? So that time we need to create the storage account. Okay, and maybe it maybe the VM, right, it needs to connect with the virtual network and then the outside of the network also. At the time you need to have the a network interface card. Okay, and after that maybe when you want to connect from the outside of the internet, maybe uh, so at the time you need to have the firewall, and then the virtual network setup, and maybe you also needs to allow the particular port, right, maybe the RDP only you are going to connect it. So that time it has to enable the RDP port, everything, so that the virtual network you need, and the OS disk and data disk you need, and the network interface card is needed. And yeah, and then maybe the public IP address. So for example you will be connecting with the public endpoint, right? So at the time you need to purchase some public IP address also. So by just creating a one resource like VM, maybe these many resources to be created. Okay, so for example if you are not providing, or maybe the you are just provided all the mandatory parameters, right, so it will just by just taking the default parameters it will be created. But if you want more control, you what you can do is like you can just create the public IP address or the network interface card, and those things you can assign it when you are maybe creating the Azure VM command. Okay, so you got it right. So maybe, right, so in the templates you will be mentioning all the resources. Okay, so I'm just saying for an example creating a VM, I'm saying like virtual network to be created, OS disk, the data disk, and after that virtual network, and then the subnet, and under the subnet we need to assign the network security group, and inside the security group we have to enable the RDP port, so then only you can connect from your local machine. And then the public IP address needs to be attached to the network interface card. And yeah, so and these are all the resources, all the things will be there in the templates file. Okay, so all the resources will be we will be mentioning in the resources file. And then the next one is the parameters. Okay, so for example the parameters means so just to use the maybe the reusable component. So for example the once you have created the template, right, you won't be changed the any of the file. So once you have created or completed the template, after that you won't be edit anything in the template file. You just want to change the parameter alone. So for example I am going to create a maybe VM for the dev environment, so I will be just appending the maybe the parameter like environment, or the maybe the location, maybe the instead of creating the resources in the west US, I am going to say in the central US. so something. So those kind of the externalized the parameters, right? So we will be providing in the parameters file. Okay, and then the variable.
So,
Yeah,
Selan, sorry to interrupt, Selan. Do
yeah,
you have any sample file so that we can take a look on it, like how these templates are defined within the JSON?
yeah. So for example, right, in the last demo also, um,
So
so
by looking at visualization, that might give like a more clear picture.
okay, okay, yeah. So for example, yeah, maybe we can just finish this one. Yeah, so you can just
Okay,
understand
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah. Go ahead. No,
yeah,
yeah, like high level, we are getting it,
yeah,
but
yeah,
physically when we see the file, then maybe like we can
yeah.
like connect the points.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sure. So here, right, the templates and then parameters and then variable we will be mentioning here. And also, right, so whenever you are maybe running the script, maybe when you are just changing the parameter, the similar set of the identical environment you can create it. So because all those things and all everything the scripted, right, the only the parameters only you will be changing it, so that you can create the identical setup. Okay, and then the idempotent the nature means like number of times you executed, so there won't be any changes. So for example, you are changing now, you are executing now, so currently this is the state, maybe the evening or the noon you are maybe running it, so the exactly the same maybe expectation the decide state only it will be coming. Okay, and also maybe only changes in parameter file for other environments. Okay, if you are creating the VM for other environments, right, you will be just changing the parameters file, so you will be automatically maybe created the resources for the particular environment, so other things and all it will be common, right? So that is the thing. And also we can easily get because right, so earlier the infrastructure everything we will be creating in the portal, but now, right, we are creating as the script, right, so that we can easily bring into our source code, and then we can release it as like application releases. So that is the one advantage. And also maybe auditing means whenever you are adding the source code, right, so maybe you can easily audit, and maybe if you want to maybe if there is any error scenario, right, so you can just run this same script, you can easily reproduce the scenarios and all. So this is the high level. Yeah, maybe as you said, maybe we will just see one more slide also, and then we'll see the maybe how the script and all having. Okay,
Okay.
and yeah, so there are three modes actually, maybe Amos. Okay, so for example,
Mhm.
currently you have the templates and parameters file. So with that one, right, you can just run three parameters only, the three modes only. The first one is validation, like it will just validate whether your all the syntax, format, schema, everything is correct or not. So it will just going to tell whether everything is valid or not. And then the next one is the incremental mode. The incremental mode means like so I already said, right, the ARM templates mostly it will be for the resource group level. Okay, so for example, we won't be creating the maybe the resources for the subscription level. For example, when we are running this one, right, it will be applies only to the resource group level only, not at the subscription level. Okay, so for example, the incremental mode means what it will do is like um, uh, for example, you have mentioned a VM1 in your script. You have created one VM1 in your script, but in your resource group, right, there is already one more VM is there, so that is named like VM2. Okay, so if you are with the incremental node, so it will just create the VM1 virtual machine in your uh, Azure resource group. The VM2, right, it won't do anything, it will just ignore it. So in the incremental mode, the execution. Okay, but in the complete mode, right, so what it will do is like it will try to achieve whatever we are mentioning in the decide state in the JSON file, the template file. It will try to replicate the same thing in the Azure cloud environment also. Okay, so if there is any extra maybe VM you have created manually inside the maybe the portal, so that those and all will be deleted. Okay, so in the incremental node, if there is any other resources you are not mentioning in the JSON, but it is there in the Azure portal means what it will do is like it will just ignore it, so it won't do any operation. But if whatever other things we are mentioning, right, so it will just create or update whatever it is needed. Okay, but for the complete mode, right, it will just try to maybe create the same state like whatever we are mentioning in the Azure JSON the JSON template. So if there is any extra, maybe if there is any extra, maybe the resource or something, it will delete the mode actually. Sorry, it will delete the corresponding resource. So you got it right. So there are only three modes. You can just try to understand. Then maybe when we are executing, right? So you will be understanding it. So there are three modes. I think by default we will be running in the incremental mode. So maybe the structure we will see, and then before that I would like to see the mode also. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is this is the schema. So before that we will see the resource group also. So for example, right, yesterday we have created the sample, the generator file, sorry, the project, the demo project, right? So we have created. So in the same project, in the source code, we will be having the application code and as well as the infrastructure creation script. Okay. So the infra creation script, right, that will be there in the inside the env folder. Okay. Under the env folder they are keeping their arm templates, everything. Okay. So for example, under
So
the,
is this default or it has been created before?
no, so yesterday we have
Oh,
created some we have created some demo project, right, from the Azure DevOps demo project something. So inside that it is created the Azure
okay.
.NET projects under the source folder. Here you can see the .NET API project because we are able to see some web application also there, right? After we deployed
Mhm.
into the Azure, we are able to see the live application also. Okay. But for that application, right, for deploying the particular
Mhm.
application, so what are all the infra dependencies, like maybe the Azure app services, and behind the scene it is using the Azure SQL database and then application insights. So those are all the components we need to create it, right? But I didn't create it. So those and all it is created from the ARM templates itself.
Uh-huh.
So you got it right. So
So yeah, okay, when you create, it's internally we create this ARM template.
yeah, maybe in the real time scenario, right? So we have to create it, but when you are going to start something at the time, you can just follow the demo, the template
Okay.
project something. Okay. So for example, how they are maintaining the structure, the maybe the repository structure is like, under the source folder they will be keeping all their application source code, and under the environment folder they are keeping the infrastructure automatic infra provisioning script. Okay. So in this scenario, they are using the ARM templates only. They are not going with template, the Terraform or anything. Okay. And then the documents folder, they are keeping some kind of, yeah, the MD, right? So there is some help document or how to get started, the deployment. So those kind of documents they will be providing here. Okay. So something like README file. Okay. And under the environment folder, we will be having the templates. Okay. But here the thing is like, so this is the template file, the full environment JSON, right? Yeah. So this is the yeah, this is the main template file. So we have seen, right, like we will be having the template file, the parameters file. Okay. So in the parallel to the this file, we will be having the parameters file also. Yeah, 1 minute. So I will see what is the, because here we are seeing so many files, right? Because each and every file they will be those will be the reusable files. They will be integrating in their the full environment setup.json. Okay. So for example, I will go to the pipelines. So we just want to know what is the file they are considering like the template file, and what is the file they are considering as the parameter file. Okay. I'm going to the release one. So here the Azure deployment, right? So here only they are calling their particular script, everything. So here the full environment. So here the template, right? They are using full environment setup merged.json. Okay, and then here full environment setup merged param.json. So this is the template parameters. So you got it right. So this is the
So I guess this is, you are saying the one we created yesterday, the blue and green.
yeah. So during the time it will be creating the ARM templates and as well as the application source code also.
Mhm.
Okay.
So does it differ any between, I mean, any template between this green and blue, or
No.
it's the same?
So for example, right, it's not
Mhm.
anything related with the blue green. Okay. So the blue
That's
green,
correct.
yeah, the blue green, this is for the application alone. Okay. So for example,
Okay.
to achieve the blue green, what you have to do is like from that Azure app service, right, you have to create
Right.
the slats actually, like the production staging, those slats you have to create it. Okay. So those configuration, right, the slot configuration, the naming, everything you will be providing in the ARM templates. So once the infrastructure is provisioned, and after that you are just doing the maybe the swapping and all, right. So that will be at the application level, but the infra is already created. Okay.
Right, but you are not going to provide this template, right? But internally, when you run the application or to create this application, I mean, this blue or red, this blue green deployment, then the template, it will be automatically grabbed from the Azure,
Yeah,
which is from the R,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
You
yeah,
don't have to specify
yeah.
here whether it's full
Yeah.
on.
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe, yeah, for example, right, from the pipeline, so this is the build pipeline, right. So when we are running the
Right.
build pipeline, at the time it will maybe build our .NET application, and then it will stage our application binary, and also it will stage our ARM templates also. Okay. So and after that, the same build pipeline you have provided some artifact, right. So that we are referring it here, like from this parts unlimited into e2e build pipeline, whatever the build is created, the same build pipeline we are maybe using here, and from here, right. So it will start this run, it will start this job, so which means like it will download the template and then the application binary whatever we have staged, right, as the artifact. It will be downloaded here, and after that it will run this command in the sequence. So this is the Azure deployment task. So it will run the Azure the first infrastructure, it will be first created, and after that is it is deploying into the environment, it is deploying the staging environment.
Mhm.
Okay. So for example, yeah, so for example, right,
So,
and
like for
yeah,
example, this prod one, we clone it yesterday from this green one, you know.
yeah, the
So
production one you
that
are.
will tell us that it will be using the same template.
Yeah. So for
But
example, for all
correct.
the environment, right, it will use the same template. Only the parameters
Mm.
only we will be changing it. Okay. And
Okay.
also, but maybe in this template, right, how they are doing it, like with the same, whenever we are running the single environment, at the time it is creating the environment for all the environments, like dev, QA, production, everything it is created. But in the real time scenario, right, maybe first we will be creating the dev environment, and when we are moving into the QA environment, right, at the time only the other resources and all will be created for the particular environment. Okay. So for example, here under the ASP.NET, this is the resource group. Yeah. So here you can see, right. So this is the DB for the yeah. So here this is for the dev. So here they have appended the dev, right. So this is for the dev database, and this is for the staging one, and this is for the production one. So because here they are not appending anything, right, this is for the production one. Okay. And also here similar like in the app service also, from the app service also, right? So these are all the slot. So the main app service is for the production one, and apart from that we are having the two slot. So the two slot is like one is for dev and another one is for the staging. Okay, so here basically when we are running this script, so it will spin up all the environments. So basically, okay, for example, they will run the infrastructure for the all the environment, but in the real time, right? So for each environment we will be having the different resource group only. But here, right, from this maybe example,
But let's say okay.
yeah,
But let's say if we want to deploy in the same environment, really, like for example, into prod
yeah,
of several
yeah,
servers,
yeah,
then we will use the same
yeah, yeah.
resource group,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, maybe Mibrat, so what I'm maybe in the next maybe something, right? So in this session, maybe in this resource group, in the same resource group only they will be managing all the environment like dev, QA and production, everything. But that's not the case. But even for the demo project, so that is fine, but there in real time we won't be doing like that. Okay, maybe in the Monday or something, right? Maybe I will be creating,
I understand
yeah,
that.
different
But what
resource
I'm
group.
saying is, that let's say if you want to deploy on the same environment of several servers at a time, then this approach will be
Yeah. Yeah, yes, my brother. So maybe in the next one, right? Maybe we will be creating some. Maybe I need to work on this, but in this session, right? Maybe I cannot create, but it will take some time. Okay.
sure. All
Maybe
right.
in the weekend, right? I will create some project. So for example, from the particular resource group, right? So this ASP.NET, the dev for only for the dev resources alone. So in that same resource group, we should not mix production and QA1. But currently,
Thank
so
you.
they have since that is the demo one, they have created like that. Okay, so for example, the next one, right? So we have already seen. So maybe why we are coming here, like so to just to know like what is the template file and what is the parameter file. Okay, so for example, here we already seen, right? Maybe I will show one more time also. Yeah, so for example, almost here you can get, right, so which file they are using it as the template file and which file they are using it as the parameter file. Okay, so for example, the full environment setup merged.param.json, this is the parameter and this is uh, the template file. So only the this is the main file we have to look, but other files and all they will be just maybe reusing in the main file. So we don't want to see other file, but we just want to see this is the main file. Okay, so I'm going to this one.
And what was the third one? Template, parameter, and variable, right?
Yeah, variable inside the templates itself we will be specifying it. Maybe I'm not sure, maybe in the same thing also we can specify. I think in the template only we can specify like here the merger.json, right? So I think under the parameters here they are having the variables, everything. So the variables block.
Okay.
Okay, so
Mm.
for example
So script,
yeah,
okay. So script they are using JSON.
yeah, so from the JSON only, right? So they are managing they are structuring the resources, everything. Okay, uh, so for example, the first one, right? So this is the template file. Okay, the schema, the attribute or something, right? So this is just like the defining the structure of the template. Like so there are many templates, right? So for example, for every time they will be releasing the new release, so that allow according to that the parameters, everything also will be changed. So that's why we are just using the schema attribute. Okay, and then the next one is like content version. So for example, this is our maybe reference only. So for example, I am creating now. So maybe the I'm doing just some update, like I'm deleting the DB name or some kind of update I'm doing, so that I'm just for versioning I can edit it like 101 something like. Okay, so this is our maybe understanding only. We can to just to versioning our script actually. Okay, so and then the next one is like the parameters, like what are all the parameters so we have to provide. Okay, so here, right, like the website name and then the server name, the DB login name, the DB password and the DB password for test, and pull db location. So for all of the things are parameters. So everything, all the values, right, it will be provided in the parameters.json file. Okay, so these are all the basically, right, these are all the input to the so the template file. Okay, so here they will be mentioning what are all the maybe the parameters they will expect. So those values and all, it will be provided in the param.json. Okay, so and Amos, you also once maybe the last session or something, you are asking, right, maybe when we are creating the resource itself, the deployment is running, right? So there itself you can download the same template.json file. Maybe when we are
Where
yeah, when we are creating the deployment and all here, right? So currently there is
mhm.
no deployment. So for example, I'm just creating a one yeah, maybe I will just create some app service. Maybe I will use the existing one. Because the same whatever the value we are providing in the maybe the portal, right? So in the backend, it will execute as the ARM template only. So for example, here it is submitting the deployment, right? Yeah. So this is the deployment. So here is the template file, the parameters, and then the template file. Here we can see, right? Yeah, so here is the template file. So from here also we can download it, like the schema, current version, the parameters, so everything, right? So because I'm just creating the app service, okay. So for that, these are all the resources to be created, like website and then the server forms, the hosting. So those two resources to be created, and along with that, these are all the parameters it will expect, like what is our subscription id and the name of the app service, and then location where we are creating the app service, the host plan name. So all those things, right, we have to provide as the parameter. Like the sku means the tier of the maybe the app service and all, the work size. So there are, maybe that will be specific to the application. Maybe if it is the app service, so these are all the parameters we need to provide. And so similar, like, right, the resource group, you just provided the parameter like the resource group name and then location. Okay, so for this one, right, so you have you will be providing the all the parameters and all here, like yeah, so they are collecting. Yeah, the same thing. So yeah, the same templates file, and then here the parameters. So here we can see the subscription id, the name, and whatever we are providing it here. So here you can see, right, here it is the template. Okay, and then the template means maybe whatever we are seeing in the Azure repository, and then the parameters. So we have to pass all the subscription ID, the name, location, everything, right? So because we are populating in the form, so that is currently it is in the parameters. So here it is like the subscription ID is this one, the name value, and then the location, hosting plan. So these are all the value. Maybe if you are providing it, it will be overridden here. But some of many of the things and all will be like the default one. It will take the default one. Okay, like this is the tier one. So we are choosing the premium v2, the p1 v2. This is the sku code. But in the portal, right, it will, we will be having the option only to select the sku. But in the behind the scene, it will take the sku code and all. Okay, the worker size ready and all. So maybe whenever we are doing the deployment, right? So here also you can download the corresponding the template and then the parameters file also. So that's what I'm trying to say here. So you're understood, right, Amos?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the same thing here also, Amos, like so here, right? Maybe they will be doing in the some reusable manner. So that is why they are having many files. So those files and are linked to the main file. Okay, I think in some
Mhm.
places they will be merging all the files, I guess.
So those kind of resources, like within the main template, we are including it, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Referencing the path of those
Yeah,
files.
yeah. And then here, right, maybe in the variable, it's not like always we have to provide the value. So here it is something like maybe the expressions also, it will be provided in the square bracket. So it will maybe based on the things, right? So it will construct the name at the runtime. So these are all the expressions
Mhm.
and so this is right the variables, it will get the value from the this one, I think parts unlimited server name. So here this is referring here, and here, right, the parameters, right? So from the parameters we are providing the input. Okay, whatever pul the server name, right? It will take it here and then it will make it as the low to lower. So if it is the uppercase or something, it is making everything in the lower, and maybe in the subsequent variable, right? This is they are passing this variable actually here. Okay, maybe here
So,
we can pass the expressions also. So based on that, it will calculate the value and then it will assign to the resource group properties.
so during the runtime, is it going to pop up for the user to key in the
No, no,
value?
no. The runtime means like, for example, right? The like they have provide. So we will be providing the parameters input. So either in the Azure DevOps variable, right? The release variables. So through the variables, we will be passed the parameters value. Okay, but automatically it will calculate based on the expressions. Like this is the expression, right? So based on the parameters value we are passing it here, it will change it.
So how you are passing the parameter value? That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so here, right? So from the Azure DevOps, the release variable, right? For example, now you understood, right? So if you want to change the parameter value, it will automatically reflect in the other environments. Okay. So here, how we are going to see is like maybe we will be passing in the release variables. Like I'm going to release variables. Um, So here there is some variable pipeline variables, right? So here we will be passing the values, and how it will be applies like maybe we will be using some function. So for example, right? So this is the server name. Okay, the server name, it has to be applied like this one. Okay, so maybe when I'm going to there, I think there is some function. So here the template. So this is the popular, maybe in this one, right? Maybe we are not sure how they are maybe updating the, because right, so they are running the script in the only one environment, they are not going the other environments. But mostly, right, how we will do the replace tokens, right? So for example, we need to install the task. So how they will do is like, so for example, right, so you want to update the the parameter file only. Okay, so for example, here you will be providing the file name here. So 1 minute. So for example, I'm just trying to use the replace tokens. So for example, right, in this mostly, right, so how they will inject, so we need to inject the variable value from the release variables to the file. So that is what our aim, right? So in this scenario, we will be using the replace tokens, the particular function. Okay. So for example, here we will provide where we have the where is our target directory and which file we need to update it. So for example, in this scenario, we will be just saying like param.json. So otherwise, right, so we will be providing the exact file name also. Okay. So here we will be providing the token pattern. So for example, right, uh, yeah. So here, right, maybe they are providing it as null. So, but mostly, right, so how it will be like hash, maybe website name. Okay. So this is how they will be add, and finally, so from the replace tokens method, right? So here we will be providing the pattern like uh, hash has something like maybe the custom means the token prefix is like hash, and then the token suffix also hash. Okay. So in those scenario, what it will do is like it will just check the param.json file, and automatically so it will just search for the pattern like it has to start with hash and also it has to end with the hash. Okay. So in between, right, we are having the name like website name. Okay. So the website name, and also it will just check the website name, the release variable also, and whatever the value is there, it will just replace that in the param.json file. Okay. And after that only we will be running the Azure DevOps, the deployment one. So now you got it, right? So how the release variable, maybe from the variables to the pipelines, we are changing the configuration, and after that, right, maybe we will be changing the Azure deployment. So at the time we will be having the updated parameters thing, actually updated parameters file, and from there it will execute it. It will take the values and then it will execute it. So mostly, right, so we will be using the replace tokens, so for injecting the maybe the variables from the maybe the particular file, because right, the arm templates, it will take the file the maybe values from the params only. But in those scenario, right, maybe they are just taking the maybe they are not using this task, but they are, I'm not sure how they are updating the variable value, like the resource group here, maybe they are passing it, and then the template, the linked artifact. Okay, yeah, the overriding parameters. Okay, so yeah, I got it. Maybe so here, right, they are just overriding the parameters. So by just using this one, so either you can use this function, you can directly edit the file, or otherwise you can edit the file also. Maybe the parameters value also here, like website name, and whatever the value is there in the variables, and then the PUL server name. So this way also you can provide. So there are two ways. Either you can use this way, or otherwise you can just update the parameters file directly. So now you understood, right?
Yeah, if it is one or two value, it's fine. But if there are like more value, it is still going to be on the same file.
Yeah, for example, right, maybe we cannot provide all the maybe the if you're having the maybe the 10 or more parameters, right, at the time you cannot
Mhm.
override all of the things and all here. Maybe we won't be having the control, right? So at the time what we can do is like we can just maybe use this replace token, so that it will automatically update the file, and then it will be taken for the next deployment, Azure deployment.
The
Maybe,
whole
right?
file itself instead of
Yeah.
doing the override.
Yeah, from the file itself overrated here, but here the thing
Mhm.
is like maybe after when we are doing the runtime, it is changed actually. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and also here you can see, right, the deployment mode. So here it will be saying like incremental complete validation. The incremental means, right, so if there is any extra resource other than we mentioning in the our the JSON file, it will be just ignored it. Okay, but if it is something like maybe if I am choosing the complete mode, so if there is any other extra resource, so it will just delete it. Okay, the validation means it won't do any kind of updation to the environment. It will just to do the validation whether it is successful, or if there is any error, where the error is there, something like. So you got it, right? The
Mm.
for example, so here the thing is like the template and then the parameters, and maybe if there is how you can pass the parameter is like you can pass it this, use this command, or otherwise you can directly edit the file also by just passing the value. And apart from that, you have to choose the mode, like whether it is the incremental, complete, or the validation only. But apart from that, the same thing only, almost.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So maybe we will just.
Maybe I should have spoken clearly.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what I
Okay,
told.
Amos. Yeah, yeah. So the next one, right? Maybe the Azure Automation. Maybe this one we can take later also. So, for example, the pending thing for the last session, right? The LaunchDarkly tool and the overview, and then the blue-green deployment. We will try to complete this one. Okay. Otherwise, if you're taken that one, it will take some time. Okay. So, for example, the first one, I am the future toggle we discussed, right? So I'm just logging into the LaunchDarkly tool. So this is the one of the popular tool for the future flag management. Okay.
Can you quickly refresh the thing? This one feature flag. What is this one? Is it the incremental deployment or
Yeah,
something?
yeah. So this is for like so controlling the features remotely, right? So for example, uh, the development, right? How it will be happening? Like all the developers, they will be pushing the code to the direct trunk branch or master branch. So with this flow, we can achieve the multiple deployments per day to the production. And even if you are deploying the multiple times to the production, when we are enabling the feature, then only the users can see the maybe the particular feature. Until then they can't be see that. Okay. So when we are maybe using the future flag, right, so the team, they have to create the flag here. Okay, so they have to create the flag, and so they need to create the flag for every environment. So for example, I'm creating a one feature for adding the employee, so that maybe you can assuming it like that is the one link in your page. Okay, so for example, if the flag is enabled, then only the particular link will be enabled. If it is the flag is disabled in all the environments, so that will be disabled, or it won't be visible to the users at all. So that is how maybe the developer is coding, so in their application code. Okay, so they can
Okay.
deploy their latest code to the production, even the not verified the code also. But when they will enable the particular feature is like after they are verifying all the application code, and that is by the QA team, and then the business team, and after verifying with all the uh, so after verifying all the UI test, everything, right, so once that is passed, then only we will be enabling the particular feature in the higher environment. So until then, we will be deploying it, but it won't be visible because we are maybe we are toggling off the particular feature. Okay, so for example here, right, here something like this is my project something, and under that I'm just having the two environment, and we can create a mini environment also. So for example, so when I'm creating the particular feature, right, so it will be there for the two environment also, like I'm saying it like adding employee is the one feature. Okay, and then the key and then the option and the tags, maybe just for a quick reference we can add the tags and all. So that just that will be inside our portal only, but it won't be doing anything in their application side. Okay, and then the client side SDK availability. So for example, even they will provide some library also, like maybe if you are doing the C sharp and all, I don't know, they will have the support for the C sharp, SDK, React Native, Xamarin, and JavaScript, React, Node.js they are having, but so they don't have the .NET, maybe the library documentation yet. So for example, if you want to integrate, maybe if you want to integrate our the future flag with the .NET projects, right? So we need to have the .NET projects based the .NET library. So then only we can achieve it, right? But otherwise, right, they will be exposing the API documentation. With that also we can achieve it. So for example, the library means we will be having the ready-made solution, but if we don't have, then we may need to use the API call for most of the things. Okay, and here maybe here we can choose it, maybe from wherever we are going to calling the particular feature. And then the flag variation, the boolean number something, for example, if I am providing a number variation 1 to something they are providing, but these are all the some of the options how we are providing the value to the particular thing. Like if I want to maybe in which case I want to enable the particular feature or something, I guess. And the default variations. Okay, but even I'm also not worked on it, but I'm just saying an example, like how they are managing it here. But the variation means maybe based on the some scenario it will return the different value maybe to the application, I guess. Okay, maybe for example I'm just choosing the boolean now, like the true or false. The true means the maybe I'm thinking uh, okay, the variation means, right, if it is the boolean it is just returning true or false. But if I'm choosing the string means I can enter many variation, like maybe the variation something like the color or something, so they are doing it here. But for the simplicity I'm just choosing the boolean, like with the boolean only the yes or no we are thinking like whether that is enabled or not. Maybe in the complex maybe the future, right, maybe they will be enabling or based on the string value they are passing it, so the particular feature maybe it will be enabled. So based on that the application team they can code it, like maybe I'm just saying it like the true or false also. Maybe the active or disable something also we can provide. I'm just saving it here. Okay, so and then here we can create the users also. So for example, right, if within our application if we have maybe use the active directory as the identity management, maybe even here also, right, from the LaunchDarkly also we can integrate many of the tools also. For example, Azure AD and many of the Slack or Teams. So many of the integration we can do here. Even the Azure DevOps also we can integrate it. So in those scenarios, right, maybe if our within our application also we are within our application also we are using Active Directory as the identity management, and here also we are integrated with the Active Directory, so that we can create the maybe we can it will list the users basically, or and okay, so maybe we can list the users, maybe search the users by name, key, or name, email. And also here the segments, right, here we can create the subset of users. So for example, the first the testing team, right, you can create the maybe the whoever doing the smoke testing or the some testing, right, they can set up the some segmentation, and inside that one maybe we can add the users also. Like here maybe, yeah, here they are saying like beta users, right. uh, yeah, so inside the beta users we can add maybe the corresponding users, so that the when we are releasing the particular feature, right, so it will be target to the only the particular beta users alone. Okay, but currently because this is the trial one, maybe even we don't have any active directory setup and all, right, so we are not adding any kind of users here. For example, if your LaunchDarkly tool is already integrated with Active Directory, so you can search the users here, maybe whoever there in your organization, and then you can just select the particular users, and then you can include, exclude. So those kind of actions, so you can do here. Okay,
So
and then
how do you do the integration with the Azure?
maybe the Azure, maybe we cannot do. So for example here, right, the integration. Okay, so maybe how you are saying like Azure, maybe Azure is the cloud, right? Maybe we are not going to do with the cloud, you are just going to integrate with your application, okay, just for your future flag management. And one more thing is like, maybe these are all the options you have, like maybe the users, right, Active Directory. Okay, maybe when you are clicking on Active Directory, it will ask you for is provided by standard for Windows Server. It provides a plugin using, okay, uh, yeah, this is the enterprise feature. We cannot maybe use this in our free trial. Yeah, mostly, right. So what it will do is like, so for example, you are achieving the single sign-on, right? Maybe you are using the same credential for logging in your webmail, and also the same thing you are using for Azure DevOps, Bitbucket, Bamboo account, right? All of them are possible just because the particular tool is enabling the support for Active Directory integration. Okay, the similar way you have, maybe we can do the Active Directory, the integration also we can do here, so that all the users, right, maybe they can use the SSO. And also here we can easily create the segments users also. But maybe we don't want to create maybe any other integration. Or maybe if you are talking about the Azure DevOps, if you want to roll out something, maybe we can deploy from the Azure DevOps also. So here we are releasing, right? So for example, the enabling the particular feature or on or off, maybe the variation and all we are providing it here, right? Maybe that integration maybe we will be having from the Azure DevOps also. So for that one we have to maybe install the particular plugin, maybe the LaunchDarkly plugin in Azure DevOps. And then maybe this needs to be integrated maybe through the service connections. And after that we can maybe the from the UI, right, maybe we can see like maybe the percentage rollout, or maybe the toggle enable or disable, those things we can see basically. Okay, so for example I am clicking on integration, but I don't know they will provide it or not. Mm, okay, smarter, better, and ship faster with the modern dev services. So this, right, so this also related to the um, perform. So I think what we need to do is like, we need to install the maybe the LaunchDarkly plugin in the Azure DevOps. For example, this is the guidelines we have to follow. DevOps integration control future flag. Okay, the API access token, at least the right level access, connecting LaunchDarkly marketplace. So we have to download the LaunchDarkly, the marketplace on. And then yeah, the project settings, service connection, create service, select LaunchDarkly access token, description, and then the server URL. Okay, and then creating the rollout task. Okay, yeah, maybe we will get this one. And then account to update. Yeah, so here we can provide the rollout percentage, like a launch dark account, a rollout, and then on or off we can provide configure authentication. Okay, yeah, and then here the list of project name things thing. Yeah, I think here associated like 100% rollout, 0 percentage, 50 percentage, 50 percentage. Okay, so for example, Amos, I'm just showing how to maybe integrate maybe the LaunchDarkly with the Azure DevOps. Okay, maybe for that one we need to open the DevOps, right?
So through the DevOps, using the DevOps only, we are launching the application, right? Or
Yeah, maybe that integration they are providing it.
how, that's why like I am not getting like how these two are integrated. Like for the application, we are saying like, okay, we added some new features, and then we are as a developer like they will be having some kind of a flag or something to be turned on. So
Okay.
that is maintained on the whatever the tool is, right?
Yeah, so for example,
launch darkly.
for example, so the launch, maybe the launch darkly, it is the product, right? So maybe they need to attract many customers. So in this case, right? So with the launch darkly alone, maybe no one going to use the maybe the tool, right? So what they will do is like they will provide the support for all the other tools, like they will be creating the plugin and they will be upload in the corresponding marketplace. Actually, so maybe in the Azure DevOps, right, they will be creating some the plugin for their integration, and then they will be update in the maybe Azure DevOps marketplace, and even the Jenkins, Bamboo, everything. Okay, so we just want to, maybe if you want to leverage launch darkly, so what we will do is like we will just enable the, maybe we will install the plugin, and after that, right, we will be having all the tasks related to the launch darkly related. So for example, right, so the last time we have deployed the Azure web app. Okay, so we have seen some of the task there, right? Azure web app task is there, and then you are able to select the particular slot you want to deploy. So those things you are trying, right? So the similar concepts only for here also. So maybe after you are installing the particular plugin, you will be having all the task, everything enabled, but the secure connection you want to establish, right? So for that one, we are going to create the service connection, and there you are to provide the access token, everything. So you got it, right? So for example,
Yeah, say for example, like already we have an application, right? Like say for some website we have, and then we are adding a new feature like forgot password. So on
okay,
the forgot password, so we are deploying that feature into prod also, right? And
okay.
then on the launch darkly, how do you define? Okay, this forgot password. What do we need to do for this forgot password for the beta users to see, and how it is tied up with the application?
Okay, so for example, right, maybe the how the integration from the plugin through the plugin, right? So that is maybe after installing only we will know. Uh, Amos. Okay, so for example, so the whatever the future they are providing in the tools, right, that we understood, like maybe the percentage rollout, and there we can set up maybe all the future flags, so everything we can see. So the next what we can do is like we can just install it, and then maybe when we are adding, after we are adding it, right, we will have some task also. So with the task we will get to know like maybe what are all the options they are providing in their the particular maybe the integration with the Azure DevOps. So maybe I will first install, and then we'll see. So you got, so for example, right, the normally the concept is like for example, let's say in your application, right, you are having the four features. Okay, so either it can be maybe on or off, the only the two possible, maybe if the variant is like boolean. Okay, and maybe that for every environment, right, you just have to select the particular, the launch darkly, the particular task, and then with that we are able to do with that when we are doing maybe enabling the service connection and all, right, we can select maybe the corresponding the future flag, and then maybe we can roll out, or maybe the percentage rollout also we can see. So for example, currently it is installed there, right? So here maybe I'm searching again. So I, because earlier it was not there, so that I'm just installing it, and then I am again I'm searching the task now. But anyway, we have to maybe the create the access token, like so here
How this is
security.
integrated with an application? That's what like I'm
Yeah, so for
trying
the
to see like how
application,
we can work on it more.
yeah, for the application, right? So here 1 minute. So here, mm, think I'm just trying to generate the token. Okay, but it's not there. Okay. So for example, right, whenever we are creating the flag, so they are providing the flag also, like So whenever we are creating it, so it is providing some client side SDK availability, right? So these are all the libraries they have to install. Maybe they have to add as the reference in their project. And then after that, right, they have to maybe specify the new gallery. That is the one feature. So based on that, they have to maybe whether they want to execute the particular code or not. So that one, they only will write the application logic and all. So maybe here, right, we are just providing the maybe the mobile SDK using mobile key, and I think it will provide, yeah, SDK using the client ID, right? So maybe once we have created this one, maybe we will get the corresponding the mobile key and client side ID. So after that, right, we will be maybe installing the corresponding the LaunchDarkly library for the particular tool, like either it can be the JavaScript or React. So corresponding library would be there, and along with that you will be passing the maybe the client side ID, the access token basically, so that it will fetch the maybe the future flag status from the maybe the database. Okay, so for example, right, the launch darkly also in the backend, maybe they will be managing all the future flags in the database only. So from that maybe it will fetch the future flag, and then whether it is the on or off, so based on that they will proceed the further flow. So you got it, right?
Uh,
So for
Not fully
example,
because I am not.
yeah,
Yeah,
maybe,
maybe kind of like an example. We might need to see how
yeah,
this both are like tied up and how it is talking to each other.
yeah, maybe that one, right? Yeah,
In
yeah,
like high level, I can understand, but how in practical
yeah. In
way how
practice,
we can achieve this?
yeah, in practical, right, Amo, so for that one, right, so we need to, maybe we will just try to search, is there any GitHub sample is this one for this one or not. But apart from that, maybe let's see, like maybe the .NET, I think, I don't know whether the .NET framework they will allow or not, but we will create some .NET core project. So for that one, maybe you may want to help me. So and then we will for example here, right, from the portal wise, from the DevOps perspective, so that is simple only. But when you are maybe the integrating from the library in your concern application project, so that one is the developer only needs to do. But from the high level, right, maybe as a DevOps we don't want to care about anything, like whether the future toggle is the enable or disabled in our application. But other things and all, the developer responsibility only. For example, they will reference their corresponding library, and after that they will use the maybe definitely, right. So when they are hitting some API endpoint, they need to pass some authentication either through the access token or API key. So for that one, we have to pass it. Okay. So otherwise, right, maybe still, right. So this will be there for the 14 days trial, right? Maybe you can, maybe I'm also just searching, like I will I will just search for is there any GitHub project or demo project is there or not. So we will just try to create from the .NET Core project. So you have the Visual Studio, right? Visual Studio on .NET Core maybe install. So
I
maybe,
haven't worked on .NET Core or anything.
yeah, maybe for
I
the,
have the
yeah, maybe if you want some kind of the real time or something, right, maybe so for that we need to create it. So from that only we can see. But from the course perspective, right, maybe we can see high overall. And then from the portal how it is working, and maybe the Azure DevOps, right, maybe from the whether it is the code integrated or not, but that maybe that the developers. But from that integration perspective, right, the Azure DevOps and LaunchDarkly we can try. Maybe we have installed the application, right. And similar way from the task also we can maybe we can search the maybe the launch directly related task, and there they will be providing the option for the rollout, the percentage rollout, or those kind of options, so that we can see. So how it is pulling from the like uh, maybe the future flag from there, and how it is releasing. So those things we can see from the Azure DevOps. But for the other things, right, we will be having the demo projects. But for the future flag management, it is something kind of the if else condition only, I know. But other the maybe the integration with any of the projects, maybe that we want to work on it.
yeah,
Okay.
at least even on the launch darkly, they should have some kind of like a hello world program or
Yeah,
anything,
for
right?
example, right, so here they have the read the documentation, right? So I think they will be showing like how we have to integrate in the languages basically, maybe the development, right? Setting up an SDK. Okay, the client side, the JavaScript maybe. The editor support flags, next steps. Yeah, maybe by just I will just pass this documentation by just understanding this one, right? We will understood almost, and also right, they will be providing the API documentation also. Okay, so for example, I couldn't see the .NET Core SDK support for now. So in those scenarios, we will be directly integrating with the API basically. Like yeah, maybe for if you want to get the list of futures, right, maybe you want to call the ap/futures, so it will return as the JSON input, and the current status, so everything we will be getting in this way. Okay, I think the cars are errors, the API response format, so everything they will be providing in the documentation. So for that one, right, so for detail, so for like how to integrate with this one, maybe we will see is there any the small hello world is there or not, but maybe I don't know whether it will be possible or not, but we will try almost. Okay, but apart from
Okay.
that, right, at the high level, maybe we can just try to understand, but in the real scenario, right, so most of them they are not ready to go with this one for now, maybe unless it is the very complex application. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know, because since it is on the course, that's what I was thinking. Like maybe there might be like a kind of like an example where I can go and I can try the same thing.
Yeah.
That's what
So
I was
yeah,
thinking about.
maybe yeah, okay. So in this case, right, maybe I will just share you the link. Maybe I will also just search on it. Maybe in your cases also, right, maybe you can install the .NET Core, right? So maybe we can install the Visual Studio latest one. Maybe I also know something on the .NET Core, but not on the high level. So we can install it and then maybe we can work on it. Maybe in the weekend also I will try something. Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Okay, Amos. Yeah, okay, Amos. Maybe this is the overall, maybe maybe they are
Mhm.
creating the future flags, and then maybe, right. So here, the most of the things, right, maybe from that application wise, right. So we cannot see everything. Like maybe we can see like one more thing, like so how we can integrate with the Azure DevOps tool, like LaunchDarkly, right? So how we are integrating in the release pipeline, so that we can, maybe we don't know, we don't need the that like the code everything, right? So for example, we already installed uh, the tool, right? So currently now I am understand. So I have installed the plugin. Okay, so I am just installing, maybe searching is there any task is available for this one or not. Mm, but maybe I will refresh it again. So even we have installed in this projects only, project settings. So here it is installed. Yeah, okay, Amos. Maybe this one, right? Maybe I will show. Maybe this one, right? I will show how we can integrate the LaunchDarkly with maybe Azure DevOps pipeline. So currently we have installed the maybe the extension. But when we are maybe searching for the task, right? Maybe it has to provide maybe the rollout or so similar, like maybe the Azure Web App. We have tried the deployment and all, right? So the same thing, maybe the similar, like it will be available, but the currently it is not there. But I'm not sure. Maybe that I need to do some research, and then maybe in the Monday, right? Yeah, we will see this one.
Mhm.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Thank you, Amos. Thank you, my brother.
All right. Okay. Talk to
Yeah.
you then. Bye.
Good night. Bye.
Good night.
All right. Good night.
Thank you.